Best in Film
the Drive-In
2022.
Podcast, video, radio, audio, description, podcastnetwork.com/show. Welcome, everybody. I'm literally opening it with that. I already started the show. So we are going to talk about, it's the end of the year, obviously, and we're going to talk about the best movies of 2022. Matthew Fox put a good assortment of other categories for us to share our favorites in those respective things as well. Genres. Am I allowed to say genres? Because I don't know if I say animated genre or whatever, I'll get yelled at for that. So, but with that being said, exactly.
I mean, I think you're covered because Letterboxd calls it a genre that you can sort.
Don't go on Twitter. Animation is film. We're not saying it's not. We're just saying it's a subgenre, genre. Whatever. All right. Before I put my foot in my mouth anymore, welcome to the show, Mr. Matthew Fox. How are you, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Nice afternoon, since we don't know when this can release. So from giving a specific day.
And then I introduced Lankford. He says, "Good morning, everybody."
Special day sometime in late 2022.
This is gonna be fucking great. Speaking of Mr. Lankford, how are you, buddy?
I missed this. I'm good. I missed the train going off the rails at the very beginning of all of our episodes. I'm so excited to be here today. Like, insanely.
This is the first time you and I have podcasted in a long time, I'd say, right?
Yes, sir.
It's been quite a lot. I would think probably back beginning of the year, because I haven't really done a whole lot of podcasting outside of my weekly podcast with Mr. Fox over here in quite a while. So
you should do more of the Departed podcast.
We just all had to break up.
I really love the Departed podcast. I did. I really enjoyed it because it's short and sweet. And it's just like everything else in my life. I start something and I just stop doing it halfway through because I'm like, what am I supposed to film this? What do I have time for this? So I don't even know. But yeah. So also joining us. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. It's good to be back. I missed you guys. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, because we got so exciting because Amanda and I were talking. We both got it accepted into Sundance, so we're planning on doing some fun collabing during that time frame. I'll tell you what, I went through the list. I don't go through the list of movies until I'm accepted because otherwise I don't really care because it's I'll see what I need to see whenever the time comes. You know what I mean? No offense to the festival. It's I might get a couple tickets to go see a couple of the movies, but I started going over the list and I was like, man, there's some real bangers up in this bad boy. So I'm excited because, I've covered it. This is year 3, I think. I don't know. We'll just call it 3 and call it even or whatever. I don't even know. But I'm excited to cover it. I know Amanda's covering it as well, so I'm excited to see that. And yeah, we're gonna cook some stuff up during the festival. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But all right, well, we just went to dead air, guys. Way to go, guys. All right, so with that being said,
plus we all have to get ready because at some point in the spring, Mission Impossible rewatches.
We know Mission Impossible. I'll tell you what, you know what, and you know what, I'm gonna go off the rails already and do whatever I want to do. That's gonna perfectly lead into the most anticipated movie of 2023 is gonna be the first category we start off with here. And with that being said, Eric, we're going to let you kick it off first, too, with your most anticipated movie of 2023.
Well, for some reason, it's not Mission Impossible, so way to go. To be honest, Michael B. Jordan stepping into a director's chair for Creed 3 has me more excited than a good 75-80% of what I'm going to watch in the next year. I am so pumped for that one.
Amanda?
Barbie.
Yeah.
I honestly was gonna put Mission Impossible, but I'm just that Barbie trailer. I am so excited for Margot Robbie. So yeah, that's my most anticipated.
Mr. Fox.
Yeah, and I'm wearing the shirt. The season's greetings. Mine is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared to say goodbye to these characters, but at the same time, I'm super excited to see them again. And it comes out right around my birthday weekend.
Yeah, that's 3 really good picks because Creed is gonna I am very excited about that because the first 2 were so good. The first one has no business being as good as it is. And Sylvester Stallone was robbed of his Oscar. I'm going to forever say that for the rest of my life, but he was so good in Creed 1. I was going to say Barbie, but I knew that's where Amanda's going to go. I'm going to go with Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese, DiCaprio. I mean...
But is it going to come out that year, though?
Well, you never know anymore with any movies, but I'm just going to go with that. I love DiCaprio. He's my favorite actor, and Scorsese is my favorite director. So when those two get together, you know there's a match made in heaven. So I'm excited for that one. With that being said, let's transition over to Best Blockbuster of 2023. We are going to kick it off with Amanda.
Top Gun Maverick. Is that shocking? I'm shocked that
I'm
even
blown
said that.
away.
Oh
Like,
my
I was
God.
not expecting you to say that.
That little movie that no one watched. Yeah, it's Top Gun Maverick for sure.
Tom Cruise saved cinema, apparently. So
Woo, you did.
let's see here. Fox, you're next.
I went with the same thing. Maverick just outside my top 5 that we're going to get to later, but it was incredible. One of those sequels that surpassed the original in every way.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to go Top Gun Maverick as well. I remember seeing it. I was like, the first movie's like, nah, it's whatever. You know what I mean? It's whatever. It's really just a throwaway film. I rewatched it like before I saw a sequel, and I was like, okay, like whatever. Hopefully it's not like this, because if it is, then whatever. But I mean, I have all the faith in Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? He knows how to make a blockbuster. We talked about it a little bit. Mission Impossible. Cannot fucking wait. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But Top Gun Maverick, one of the best theatrical experiences of the year. It has emotion. It's got so much action. It's insane. So, Lankford, do you plan on breaking the trend?
Can I tell you how intimidated I am to have not picked or seen Top Gun Maverick?
Look, it's out on Paramount Plus now. So
I have
you.
a physical copy of the movie, and I'm waiting for a good moment.
He's waiting for 2023. He's
It has to be before the end of the year. No, not 2023.
I agree.
I
agree. It has to be
Christmas
before the
Day.
end of the year.
Christmas Day.
I'll treat myself Christmas Day to the summariest movie like I could possibly.
I mean, it's gonna be cold outside, so you won't want to leave the house anyway.
Well, so my pick is hands down. Speaking of entries in a franchise that surpassed previous ones, is the Batman. I've been able to rewatch this movie, even though it's 3 hours long, like all year. The staying power is incredible. Like it's just absolutely fantastic. That was one of my favorite theatrical experiences of the year.
Yeah, it's I really keep on hearing all this James Gunn conversation. I'm like, all right, just keep talking. Just leave the fucking Batman alone. Like, just leave it alone. Let it be. I don't want it to be in this universe with all the other movies. Just let them do their thing. Leave them the fuck alone. Let me just get my other Batman and we'll move on with our lives. But yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to Best International Film. Mr. Fox, we're going to let you go first.
I'm going with the one that opened here in mid-December, and that's Bardo, A False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths. I haven't always loved Inarritu's films. This one I thought was wildly creative, but also had a story that resonated more strongly with me. I think it's my favorite of his films, and it's my favorite of the international features I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's mine as well. I've been on record just professing my love for this film. It's hard for me because I really want to rewatch it. I saw it at AFI, and Inarritu introduced the film, and I was just like, man, I really was excited because I'm at AFI. It's my second night, but I'm also like, man, his filmography is not something that really resonates with me. I really feel like this movie's it's 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. Like,
It's been the year of long movies. That's what
is.
2022 is going to be, the year of long movies.
And it was like, damn, like this is incredible. Like I wrote my review, I just loved it. Daniel Cacho gives one of my favorite, if not my favorite performance of the year. It's just this emotionally layered, and everyone's like, it's pretentious. I'm like, well, that's the point of the movie. Like it's supposed to be pretentious, like in a way that is told in this uncharacteristic way in some aspects. It's a deeply personal movie film that I love so much, and I really think that this is a movie we're gonna look back on like 10 years from now. People are gonna be like, oh man, why didn't this win Best Foreign Film? Like, why didn't this win this and that? And Cacho not getting nominated if that for some reason does happen. So yeah, What about you, Eric?
Yeah.
Almost lost my
So-
order.
My pick, this was the best place I could find to put my pick. It's about an international sport, and it's called Rookie Season. It's a documentary that was one of the interviews that I did for the Music City Drive-In earlier on this year. And I was absolutely floored by a movie that was on like a laptop that I had to watch. And I can only imagine what people who saw this in a theater went through, because it's one of the most like heart-racing things I've ever like had. Like, I don't know how this guy did it. It's a one-person crew who has just a bunch of equipment strapped to him and is just standing around a racing crew watching everything and sitting in the backseat of these cars going 100 to 120 miles an hour. I don't care about racing all that much, but this movie absolutely like is one of the best things I've seen the entire year.
I love that. I love a different pick. Amanda, what about you?
I'm going with RRR because even though that movie's hella long, I could not look away from that screen. It was a blasty blast from beginning to end with such a heartfelt story. Like, I think it reminded me so much of like Banshees in regards to friendship and the exploration of that and two different sides of it. But I just loved what Rajamouli did with it. Like, it was my first film that I've ever like seen from him, but the action was crispy, the VFX was ridiculously good, like the dance numbers, like to be able to choreograph fight scenes and extravagant musical numbers in the same movie, like kudos to them. It was so good. But yeah, it's a wild ride. I loved it, and I got emotional too. So bonus.
I have yet to see it. So.
Ricky.
Christmas Day, Ricky.
Everybody's got a Christmas Day movie. Everybody will leave here with a
Yes.
Christmas Day movie. I love that.
Yes.
I know I haven't got to it yet. Like I mean, I've see the thing about it is like some people say don't watch the Netflix version. Some people say watch the other version. And like I have a link, but to try to watch it in my surround sound in my living room, like it's not easy to watch off my laptop into that. So
Is the Netflix version different?
apparently, I don't know. It's just what you read on the internet.
Really?
It's probably 33% true. So whatever I'm saying right now. But let's see here. What are we gonna go with next? Let's go with best. We're gonna go best horror movie. I'm gonna kick this off. This has been a really good year. Like so the two genres or whatever you want to call them are that I really don't love are horror and animated. Like I just don't love horror movies. I don't love animated movies. I just think they both are they're either great or they're just like, ugh. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of blah in the horror genre and there's a lot of blah in animated genre. So like for me, this has been a solid year and there's some weird things that like are labeled horror, but I'm like, is that really a horror type thing? But I wrote about that today, actually, funny enough. But I'm gonna go with Bones and All. It's my number one spoiler alert movie of the year. That's later in the episode, but spoiler alert. But anybody that follows me knows that. But it's one of the. I jokingly said this one day on Twitter. I was like, in a year of like all of these other, like in the year of the Fablemans, be The Menu or Bones and All, and it's like it's just these unique, different stories that I love so much that captivates you. The Luca is just insane. His direction is brilliant. Mark Rylance, I'm sorry, should be in the best supporting actor conversation. Like, period. I don't care. Like, I don't care if he's in the movie for like 8 minutes or whatever it is. He was brilliant.
It's a creepy 8 minutes.
Exactly.
It is. I'm
Deeply
so
unsettling.
mad.
That final scene of him is just like, oh,
It's gross. It's so
yes,
gross.
it is. But he's just so like creep and like. And
You
Taylor
didn't
Russell
watch
should
this
be.
movie on Thanksgiving Eve when you were about to go out to dinner with your wife. Like, are you hungry? Not even a little.
And then like it's just Taylor Russell's incredible, somebody that should be in the best actors conversation. And the day I never thought I'd say this, but Timothée Chalamet is incredible in that film. As somebody that has hated Timothée Chalamet for just his pure existence, I thought he was incredible in this. Like it's his best performance. Russell's incredible, and Luca is really, really. I know, Call Me by Your Name's great too. Whatever, but my personal favorite Timothée Chalamet performance. And then Eric,
you covered everything. Like, that is 100%. Timothy Chalamet was like, no, he's a star. This is that to me. Call Me by Your Name I have not seen and now want to more than like any movie that's not released this year.
Man, you're gonna have a busy Christmas day,
dude. You don't even know. Like, this Bones and All. Just there are so many horror movies this year. I'm a huge fan of Zach Kreger and those people, and so there's another movie that I'm not going to bring up because I'm fingers crossed somebody else will. But this got under my skin and stayed under my skin. I still look around and listen for Mark Rylance if it's too dark. Like, it is so good, but at the same time, it's good. It's not just scary. The characters are believable. Their relationships make sense given what they are. So pulling that off with the amount of just like believable world, like gritty detail.
It's a sweet love story.
Yeah, like
Whoa. Even the ending, it's like it's really, really kind of gross, but it's like kind of sweet at the same. Like you're kind of like crying, but like cringing, but like I don't. Am I really crying at? I am. Fuck.
I cried.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
I do want like a shot of her like with just the legs left. I'm sorry, that's gross. Like I know, but like she's just sitting there. She's like, oh,
bones and all, y'all, bones and all.
We're gonna cut that. We're cutting that,
probably,
right?
Probably, yeah.
Oh shit, that's hilarious. I'm gonna clip that and have that on every social media outlet there is.
Okay.
But yes, Amanda, you're next.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said about Bones and All. I did look at it more in like a romantic way and kind of like omitted the cannibalism. I don't know if that was the thing that I should have done, but I did it. So I don't really. There's horror elements, obviously, but I don't know. I feel differently about it. Maybe because I read the book before I watched the movie, so it's a bit different for me. But I'm actually going with Barbarian. Yes. I looked at the list. I'm like, everyone's saying Bones and All. I agree with everything, but let me just throw in Barbarian because I feel like that's such an underappreciated film this year. I did not know what to expect going into that because I only watched the first trailer, I think. I went in blind. Every single twist in that movie, I was like, what the actual F is happening? Where is this going? And it was the most unpredictable film up until like the reveal at the end kind of just, it kind of, it went into that territory. But I was just so pleasantly surprised by it. I love Justin Long in this movie. He was fantastic. But yeah, one of the most surprising and underappreciated films of the year. Horror's been great this year, but I gotta give a shout out to Barbarian for sure.
Dude, that cut scene halfway through the movie, I literally thought like the projector broke or some shit at first. I was like, "Did somebody?"
And then it comes up, and you're like, "Oh shit! Why are we watching some dude driving down Pacific Coast Highway?"
Yes,
exactly. I'm like, "What is
it
going on?"
felt like a video game. I'm like, "What is this perspective right now? Like, what are we doing?"
Because I got pissed because I was like really, really enjoying it, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, it's hard for me to be that invested in a horror story, and I'm like, all right, who fucking fucked it? I'm really enjoying myself right now. Can we get on with the story? And then it was like, oh shit, this is getting even better. And it's like, all right, but yeah, God, Barbie. It's funny. I wrote it down on my list as what I was going to talk about, but then I couldn't resist talking about Bones and All. Not that won't be talking about it later now, but that's beside the point. So, all right, Fox.
I went with The Menu. Another movie that I thought was very surprising. I loved Anya Taylor-Joy in there, and especially Ralph Fiennes. Just an incredible performance. Nicholas Holt's character turns out to be one of the biggest monsters on film all year. When you get to the twist in that movie is insane. There was a lot of things in there that were humorous, but there was a lot of tension and just I love the way it was put together. It's been a great year for horror movies that wanted to step outside the traditional like slasher film and create something that had more of a depth and a high concept. And I think we touched on 3 of them here.
I totally agree. All right. So we are going to move with Eric going first in Best Animated.
Oh, cool. So I get to be the one to say Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Thanks. You know what? Really,
Pinocchio.
the movie stuck.
Oh, you're talking about the
landing for
Disney
me.
version of Pinocchio, Tom Hanks, right?
That
Joseph
did not come
Gordon-Levitt?
out this year. I don't know what movie you're referring to. Only one Pinocchio film was released this year.
That's even 3, but
There were
you
3.
Yeah. Yes. And don't Google the other one. Don't do it.
I have to
Um,
now. I can't not do it.
That's the one with Pauly Shore, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. But this one,
Christmas. I know what I'm doing Christmas Day.
yeah, there you go. There's Matt's assignment. It's the other two Pinocchios. Between Kate Blanchett and Ewan McGregor, really, like all of the voice cast was on point. I don't know. There's this weird relationship with this movie and Pan's Labyrinth, where for some reason Pan's Labyrinth is the live action one that is set primarily in a fantasy world, and this one has this similar wartime backdrop, but is set primarily in a real world, but is stop motion animated. These choices confuse me, but I'm so glad because it's incredible, and the artwork on display, the different way of telling a story that's familiar, and then I just think they full on stuck the landing. The last line of the movie for me is like, yeah, fantastic. Just that little trail off of what happens with Jiminy and all that. So yeah.
Amanda.
Mine is also Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I did not expect to have such a connection to this film. I love GDT. I think he's absolutely an incredible filmmaker. I think the themes of grief just really hit me because I lost both of my grandparents this year within the span of 2 months, and it just destroyed me. Pinocchio,
Sorry
it
for your
really
loss.
did. Thank you. But yeah, it's a gorgeous film, beautifully shot. I love that we got a more backstory on Geppetto with his son. I think that's what really just made it so emotional and grounded, because we've never seen that in any of the other versions, I think, or maybe there were versions that did that. And I haven't seen it, but I think that was what made this so special and unique, because we understand Geppetto. In other films, we don't understand Geppetto. It's like they're going through the motions. And I think that's where the detachment, for me anyway, with a Pinocchio storyline, that's where it was. So everything was beautiful. Ewan McGregor should get a supporting actor nomination for his voice work. He was fantastic and I love him. But yeah, everything about this, it's truly special to me. I love it.
Can I ask, what did you think of the way that they handled these like rising musical numbers that keep getting cut off?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was almost like they shouldn't have been there. I mean, I was fine with like Ciao Papa, but I was just like, why did you put the other ones in if you're gonna... Yeah. So it was just weird, but I didn't mind them. I thought they were like cute at the same time.
I thought it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Fox.
I mean, you guys are undersold. It's Pauly Shore and John Heder. It is.
This is
free.
his pick now. He's not
It
even
is free on Amazon. I haven't seen it, but no. I'm just kidding. I also did
Don't do it.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I thought the style and the craft that was put into it, the way they told the story, was a very unique approach. The classic beats of the kind of Disney version of the story were there, minus the horrendous Tom Hanks performance. But he put his own spin on it, put it in its own time period, and I thought it was delightfully weird too.
You know what? I'm gonna throw this whole entire thing for a loop. It's probably my favorite animated movie of the year is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It's incredible. I loved it. It's funny. It's different. I'm not a huge Shrek fan. I'm not a really huge. I wasn't even a fan of the first Puss in Boots. It's like it is what it is type of thing. But this was hilarious. Like I wasn't going to watch it. I hate watch. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, animated people. Whatever. I love Pinocchio. I did. I loved it. If I made like a top 25 list, it would 100% be in there. 100%. But Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is just so funny. Harvey Gillian is incredible as Perro. I would like die for that little dog in this movie. It's just so funny. It's got some heart. It's just a blended of everything. I liked it a whole lot. And a runner-up for me, obviously, is Turning Red, which I thought was downright incredible. So
I was debating Turning Red.
yeah,
And
exactly.
the first Puss in Boots is underrated, I think. Anyways, there's little quotes and stuff that like my friends still like. Oh, like that little
Fun. I can't wait to
Matt's
watch
like
it more.
you plebs.
A close second for me was actually DC League of Super Pets, which I had zero expectations for,
Aw.
and Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson just don't let you down.
They're literally a match made in heaven. Like they
Yep.
just need to keep
They
making
are.
movies. Like,
Even as
also-
animated dogs, they're fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so we are going to go to Best Comedy. Amanda, we're going to have you kick it off.
Hells yes. I'm going to go with Weird the Al Yankovic story because, oh my God. First of all, I adore. What, Ricky? What did you say?
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Hey,
Ricky's
we
going to be
found
real
Ricky's
busy on
Christmas
Christmas Day,
Day.
too.
Ricky, you have so much to watch. Literally.
9 hour
I-
RRR followed by Weird Al. Got it. What a
Do it.
double header.
The palate cleanser.
Exactly.
I watched Weird Al Midnight Madness at TIFF. And if you haven't been to the Midnight Madness crowd at TIFF, it's a very different movie going experience, and I highly recommend everyone do it once in their lifetime. Daniel Radcliffe is absolutely phenomenal in this movie, and I don't think I've laughed that hard all year. It is just so fun. I loved it so much from beginning to end, and I'm not even a Weird Al fan. So for like diehards of Weird Al, they're gonna appreciate it even more. But it's just so him. Like he's in every single aspect of Weird Al is in that movie. And I loved Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna. I thought that was just a very nice touch. She nailed it. But it was fun. A very exaggerated version of his life and what happened to him, and it was good. It was a good time.
Still don't know how to watch the movie other than having a Roku subscription that I don't want to buy. So
That's fair. I'm sorry.
Wow, way to add some tension, Ricky.
Well, I guess Roku's not going to sponsor whatever
Yeah,
show this is.
So if Roku, you want to sponsor the show and give me a sub so that I can actually watch your movies? Let me
Roku,
know.
I have enough of your product for all four of us. So.
Yeah, you should get one of the sticks. It's like $17.
I have like 8 Fire Sticks here. I don't need any more sticks in the house to stick in the motherfucking TVs. I got Apple TV, got a Fire Stick. One can do one, the other one can't do the other. Like all the award stuff can only be downloaded on the Apple TV one. So it's
And
like
you still can't watch Weird the Al Yankovic
exactly.
story. Tragic.
Well, the bad thing about it was I think they pushed it as a TV movie at the Emmys or whatever. So of course we didn't get like an FYC thing for that. So yeah. Who's next? No, Fox is next.
I went with Vengeance. Came from BJ Novak. Was a little movie that released toward the end of summer. I didn't have incredibly high expectations, and I was completely taken with it. Talking about performances that should be in the supporting actor conversation. Ashton Kutcher, he's only in 2 scenes. They're both incredible. I've never seen him do anything like it. I loved BJ Novak. I love the way this story, you think it's going one direction and it sort of flips into another direction by the end of the movie. It was, it's probably not the most laugh out loud funny, but I thought it was very amusing. It was very much my style of humor.
Yeah, incredible. If you haven't seen that movie, watch it. It's really good. I love Vengeance a lot. My turn. I'm going to go with a movie that's already mentioned a little bit earlier in a different category. I'm going to go The Menu. Speaking of a genre that I love a lot of is dark comedy. Like it's like right up my alley, and I love The Menu. The more I thought about The Menu, the more I really liked it. I would love to read the script, just based on the simple fact that I would love to see it kind of dissected on paper versus what we saw on the screen. But Ralph, I'm sorry, like this year there's a lot of strong lead performances, but Ralph Fiennes is like strong in that movie, like really strong. Like the little nuanced things in the movie. Like I was when I was watching The Menu, like in theaters, like the whole clapping thing, like that scared the shit out of me. Like the first time it happened, I was like, holy shit, what's going on? Like what is going on? It's like it's such a but then like after every time it happens, like it starts to come like a little bit funnier each time, and how like everybody reacts. So it's like it's one of my favorite scripts of the year. Yeah, I love the Menu. Eric, right? You're left, right?
Yeah, my name's Eric. Yeah.
My name is Jeff.
So yeah, mine is an action comedy. It's Bullet Train, and this honestly just came from me thinking about like what movie did I laugh the
Did
most
Sammy
at this year?
Fableman direct that, or
No.
He directed
But,
this show though.
This was actually directed by David Leitch. He did Deadpool 2. And
never heard of her?
Okay.
I'm just fucking with that.
Yeah.
So, the joke was based on Sammy Fableman from the Fablemans directing
Yeah.
a train wreck of a movie that was, all right. Sorry. Moving on.
Oh no, you misunderstood. Sam Fableman's the character. It's Steven Spielberg. No,
No, he
Bullet
directed the train scene.
Oh yeah, he did.
Fableman.
He did.
If you have to explain the joke, it didn't work.
It's okay. It's okay. So, Bullet Train between Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Brian Tyree Henry, like just banter. A whole movie of just solidly choreographed action and witty banter. It's like, yep, I'll take that anytime. If you do this good of a job with it, I that's all I need. So, yeah, and then there's all kinds of surprise cameos, but I kind of don't want to mention them because for anyone I think who may have overlooked that movie, when you go watch it, that ride, some of the cameos and surprises and things, like just go see it. Yeah,
I want a spin off of Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry ASAP.
Yeah, 100%.
Just a movie of those characters. Just real quick. Yeah, I like there's a lot of underrated ones from this year. Like Bullet Train was fun. The Lost City was fun. I really like The Lost City a whole lot. And then there was one other one that I forgot about. What is it? I don't remember. We're moving on. There was one more, wasn't there? Like something like that. Uncharted. Uncharted. Yeah, I really liked Uncharted.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I loved Uncharted.
People hate that movie
Surprise.
for some damn reason.
I don't get it. And Morbius. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding.
I loved Morbius. Come
Okay.
on,
Oh,
man.
okay,
did
cool.
not
I'm not
love
joking
Morbius.
anymore. I'm not joking anymore then. If you love Morbius, it's fine.
Morbius wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad. Neither was
I
Black
don't think
Adam.
anyone thinks it was bad. I think the joke is blowing it. Well, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Is that all the categories? I think it is. All right. So we're going to move into our top 5 movies of the year. Eric, we're going to go back to you at number 5 here. What is your number 5 movie of the year?
So my number 5, from just because of the technical achievement of it and the spectacle of being in a theater, is Avatar: The Way of Water. And I know that movie is brand freaking new, and it's not really fair to let it sit in my head. I acknowledge that this movie basically, there is a story in the movie, but essentially the characters, except for a few of them, are in the same place at the end as when it started. So I have my gripes, but all in all, it is the big, larger than life event movie that has kind of dwindled with like a lot of other big movies, tentpole movies that come out. This felt a lot more solid and a lot more monumental. And I got to say, like, that's really huge for me for like a theater going experience. And it just really hit me, especially right towards the end when some of the things the characters have done, like layer up and pay off. And yeah, so Avatar 2.
I was like very confused what movie he's talking about at first. I was like, I think it's Avatar. No, it's not. It is. Oh, it is Avatar. Okay, got it. I like the choice. I honestly genuinely like the choice. I really enjoyed the movie. Like, I really, really loved it a lot. Amanda.
Yeah, my number 5 is She Said, directed by Maria Schrader. It is about taking down Harvey Weinstein. So that was a very interesting watch. I loved what Maria Schrader did, the choices that she made. And kind of like retelling the survivors' stories. I like that we didn't get reenactments. It was more of just focusing on the women talking. Not that I want to say women talking in the same breath as She Said, but I did. But it was just the choices that were made. It evoked an emotional response out of me, just because I've been through certain things as well, so it kind of got that out of me as well while watching it. So I love Zoe Kazan. Yes, I always get her name wrong. And Carey Mulligan together. They have very trusting faces, and I think that's why it worked for their characters. I really love them. And Nicholas Bertel's score, I thought, worked extremely well. But there was a fair amount of tension throughout, even though we kind of knew what happened. We all read the articles and stuff like that. I still think that it was paced extremely well. And I do have to give a shout out to Ashley Judd and Samantha Morton, who nailed it in this movie as well. Just beautiful performances all around. And it was a surprise this year for me.
Yeah. Fox.
My number 5 is Causeway. It's a film that was on Apple TV Plus. Jennifer Lawrence, a veteran who comes back and has to kind of go through rehab after an incident, comes across and strikes up a friendship with a character played by Brian Tyree Henry, who is going through his own loss following his own kind of tragic accident. I didn't go in with a lot of expectations. And I was just kind of blown away by their story and the emotional depth of it, especially those performances. I really loved Brian Tyree Henry in this. And it just really stuck with me after I had finished watching it. So it has remained up there in the top 5 for me.
God, Brian Tyree Henry should be nominated for an Oscar, period.
That's the problem. We have like 25 people that should get Best Supporting Actor nominations.
They really are, but he should be at my top of my list. My number 5 is She Said as well. For me, it's one of those things. Like this, like my top 2 is pretty set in stone. My 3, 4, and 5 kind of changed. She Said was like 3 last week, and that's like 5, and then this week it'll be like 4. By the time this airs, it'll probably be like 3 again. But She Said, to me, it's about watching the movie back. I've seen it twice now, and I appreciated it so much the first time. You watch it a second time, and there's a different performance you appreciate a little bit more. There's little things about that film that are just so beyond perfect. The direction, to me, is something that has been overlooked this entire award season, and it's kind of tragic. And I think a lot of it has to do with how the story is still playing out in the news. You know what I mean? Like if this movie was made like Spotlight, I mean, if Spotlight was made, I didn't know anything about the Spotlight story per se. Like I was not somebody that knew anything really about what happened in that journey. So like everybody knows what happens in She Said, right? You know what I mean? Everybody knows the final tale and everything that everybody knows that what the story's about. And I think that's another thing that Schrader did so well was we know what the story's about, and it's not Harvey Weinstein, right? It's not about him. You know what I mean? It's about these women and how it was like played through its entire. It's beautiful. The acting, the performances, the direction, the writing, the score is just so good. But She Said is an incredible movie. That's my number 5. Eric, we're gonna go back to you for number 4.
So my number 4 is The Batman. Again, I know I'm going for the big theatrical ones, but for similar things I said before, it's just felt like a real world where it made sense that the Riddler was essentially the Zodiac killer. And it was a gothic sort of fantasy world where I believe that other elements of like are possible when it comes to Batman and stuff. So it just is awesome. So
it's a movie that shouldn't hold up, but does every single time you watch it. My biggest bone to pick with that movie, it's still a little long. But the last like 10 minutes of that movie feels like it goes on
2022.
Exactly. That last 10 minutes of that movie felt like it went on for 2 hours. And it's just like guys, you could have ended this like 10 minutes ago. You realize that, right? You know what I mean? But you know what?
No one should get a best editing nomination this year. None of these films were edited.
What's funny, there's a 3-hour version of Bardo out there that got edited from when the initial premiere of it to what we've seen now. So
there's probably a 7-hour version of the Batman.
Well, there's a 9-hour version of Avatar out there, so
I don't want it. I'm sorry.
It's coming in 2024 and 2026, and then again in 2028.
We'll probably get all theatrical versions of that until Avatar 3 comes out in 2045. You know what I mean? It's like, 20 years in between movies. But all right, Amanda, number 4.
Number 4, I have Women Talking. You can see a theme here, clearly, directed by Sarah Polley. I just was in a trance watching it just because of the conversations being had. And it's really hard to have a dialogue heavy movie and keep people engaged in that way. So to have 3 very important conversations about whether these women should leave, should fight, or should stay, run through like these 3 acts was really, really well done. And the fact that the camera constantly had more than one woman in the frame, and then like even the focus on the women speaking was really important. And obviously having Ben Whishaw in the film as well to have like that male voice also helped the conversations. And there's a really strong back and forth too in regards to when men should speak and when men should listen. So I thought that was really, really great. I absolutely adored the cinematography. I know people have been complaining about the color grading. I get it 100%. But I just loved that the sun and the lighting from the sun was like that beacon of hope for them day in and day out to kind of make this decision. So I thought it was adapted quite well. I really love Sarah Polley and the choices that she made in trying to like kind of shelter the violent acts as well. I thought that was a smart choice on her part in doing it tastefully. But it's a heavy film. It's heavy, and I can see why many people may not want to watch it. I get it. It's also coming out Christmas Day. So yeah.
Technically not. It's only coming out Christmas Day in New York and LA. It's not coming out officially worldwide till next year because they pushed it again.
Oh.
So
I'm special then. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Women Talking.
Well, we
At
need
TIFF.
that,
Thank
right?
you very much.
such and Hildor's score. Oh,
Oh my God, so good. I forgot
Yeah.
to mention that, but yeah.
not eligible for an Oscar though. So
Ugh.
all right, Fox 4.
My number 4 is Ricky's favorite.
Oh shit! He got knocked off just as he was about to say the thing. I've been planning that all out.
You
For
can't
40
do
minutes. I've been
that.
planning that moment. So-
Oh my goodness.
All right, go back. Sorry, Matthew. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I apologize.
The
If
film
you
that
drop
will
out
play
again, I'll say
at Ricky Valero's funeral, The Fableman. And I get why some people may not like it. There are certain kind of stories that appeal to me, and the finding your passion and being moved by it. There's a scene early in the film where they take a young Sammy Fableman to a movie, and seeing his face as he's watching the film on the screen. It kind of reminded me, we saw a similar scene in Belfast last year that I thought was moving when he's going and seeing this world and being introduced to something else. And I liked the relationship between the parents too. I think a lot of this movie got sold as being, about the mother, but one of my absolute favorite scenes in the film is late in the film with Paul Dano, when he doesn't understand his son's passion the same way his son does, but he supports his son no matter what. And that, I thought there was something really beautiful in that. I also really loved the closing sequence when Sam Fableman meets a famous director that's played by another famous director, and just the way he talks about the horizon and what you're left with. I just thought it really moved me.
Oh.
So my turn. Moving on to my 4th.
Jesus Christ.
He couldn't make
That
fun
was
of
really
me.
nice, Matt.
Did you not have anything nice to say? Don't say anything at all, right? You know what I mean? Did you guys ever learn that in school? Come on, guys. You just talked about how could I say anything bad about the movie about all the sweet things he just said? You know what I mean? God.
He's really nice, Matt.
It was very, very nice. Why would
That's
I
all
ever
you
say
had to
anything
say,
about the
Ricky.
Fableman sucking after he said all of that? You know what I mean? Like, why would I say that?
See what you
Okay.
did there.
I wouldn't. I love Matt. You know what I mean? He just had a shitty taste in movies.
I get this every week, so it's fine.
No, the thing about it, it's funny to me because Matt and I, we've been doing this for a little while now, but like we agree, I'd say 85% of the time. But when we disagree, it's like a hard disagree. You know what I mean? Like there's certain films where it's like we are on the polar opposites of this other country. But speaking of being on the polar opposites of the other side of the country, we're going to bring up my number 4 film, and that is Elvis. The number 1 film for a very, 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 very long time. As a fan of Elvis, I was terrified because. Why are we laughing? Was everybody
The
laughing?
look on Amanda's face. I've emotionally processed that this was coming. So
if you exist in the world of Twitter, you know that my love for this film goes nowhere. If you follow me on any social media platform, it's not just Twitter. There's TikTok, there's Twitter, there's Rizzle, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's Hive, I guess. That's an app now. Whatever app there is that has social media on it, you know that I love Elvis. There's for some reason in my head, like I watch this movie and I think back and I play back so many different scenes that I love about this movie, and it just blows me away. Austin Butler, again, in just a few clips I've seen of him on Saturday Night Live last night, like the kid's a star, and anything that comes out of this movie 10 years from now is going to be just Austin Butler just was one of the next big things. But one of the things that I love about this movie, and in the year where we have something similar in a biopic when you have Blonde, people that don't know who Elvis was or don't have an idea of who Elvis was walked away from this film knowing Elvis, knowing his history, maybe not exactly dotting the I's, crossing the T's, everything, but you grew appreciation for Elvis as a person. And that to me is something that I love that Baz did. Baz took care of a legacy of a person that so many people adored and loved. And yes, I honestly would give this movie best editing because I love the editing. Not best editing. I love the editing in this movie. But yeah, number 4 for me is Elvis. Number 3, Eric, you're up.
I'm just gonna let Ricky sit alone because I also really like Elvis, but after what he said about Matt, just couldn't jump in there. So number 3 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know how much more there is to say that hasn't already been said this year about this movie, but every performance is fantastic. It is a little bit of your classic sort of monomyth story. There's like a hero and whatnot, but when it dives away from that convention towards the mother-daughter relationship, it stands head and shoulders above most movies like that. And just the imagination and creativity on display. The Daniels are like, if I ever see Daniels, like either one of them or both of them on any movie, I'm going to see it without, I'm going to go in blind because I just love the way that they handle things and their imagination for it. And just, everything from replicating like one of my favorite directors to hot dog fingers, like it's just absolutely wild. So yeah, that one.
Amanda.
Yeah, for number 3, because I love women, The Woman King, directed by Gina Prince, by the way, is in my 3rd spot. That was just freaking straight up epic, fam. Like that is just one of the best like blockbusters action films of the year to me. It was just wild to be in that theater. Viola Davis knocked it out of the park. I am pissed off that Lashana Lynch is getting zero like award recognition. I thought she was really good in that, and Thuso Mbidu, sorry, was also fantastic in that as well. From the action to like just, oh my god, the costume design's absolutely gorgeous. Just everything about this movie was so empowering. And I love what Gina did with it because it was just badass. That's the one word that I can say for The Woman King. It was just badass and a lot of fun to watch. And there's some powerful scenes in there as well with Viola Davis, who does some of her best acting as well, in my opinion. So yeah, it was out of left field from Sony. My goodness. Which is shocking. But yeah, I really, really like The Woman King. So that's number 3 for me.
Such a great movie. God, so good. That was a great theatrical experience.
Yeah.
Mr. Fox, number 3.
My number 3 is Women Talking, which Amanda talked about a little bit earlier. I was very moved by the performances and the story, the way the whole thing is put together. It's very engaging. I thought Claire Foy was incredible, and the story of her character is incredible. It's not an easy movie to watch. It's probably good that for most people it's not coming out on Christmas Day, because I don't know if that's the Christmas Day vibes. Maybe for Ricky, but not for the rest of us. But it is incredible. I urge you to check it out. It was a great year for films about and starring women, and this is one of them.
Speaking of movies that you should take your family to, go see Babylon, which is my number 3 movie. If you can get past your family seeing the first 10 minutes, then you're really well off. But after that first 10 minutes, if your grandmother gets past the first 10 minutes, congratulations. But with that being said, Babylon, it should not become as much of a surprise that I love the movie. But at the same time, I'll be honest with you. I was terrified. You never want your favorite director to have a bad movie, and it's going to happen at any given time. We've had, like, Scorsese is one of my other favorite directors. He's had bad movies. Chazelle, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? At some point in time, it just wasn't this one. Calm down there, Scorsese. Just calm down there.
I mean, First Man's right there, but that's besides the point.
First Man is a fucking banger, okay? You know what?
We were watching a Wikipedia page unfold. What are you talking about?
I don't even know what to say anymore. All right, but back to Babylon. Back to Babylon. No, but for real, Babylon. This is another movie to me, just like Elvis. When we look back, like 5-10 years from now, we're talking about a star-making performance, and that was from Diego Calva. He is just downright fantastic, and the transformation into the role from the first to the second to the third act is something that was just truly memorizing from his character arc. It's wild, it's outlandish, it's crazy, it's insane, it's a wild ride. It is. Like, it's a cocaine-filled wild ride. And you know what I mean? You might feel like you're on cocaine while you watch it, because there's a lot of cocaine in the movie. But I love Damien Chazelle. It's nothing shy, but I truly feel like this is his best directed film to date. It's not my favorite of his. I'm not sure where I'd rank it yet, because I'm not sure, because they're all I thought he's 4 for 4 in bangers. Yeah, Babylon's my number 3. So Eric, number 2.
I think this is where we start heavily getting into movies we've talked about before.
I know, right?
The Menu. And I want to specifically spotlight Nicholas Hoult like a little bit. I know you did, because I agree with everything that's already been said about The Menu. Plus, Nicholas Hoult has just always done a little bit of a better job than he needed to with the roles that he's done, with like big stuff like X-Men and Jack the Giant Slayer and all those kind of stuff. Like, in The Menu, he plays such a sociopath, but his performance of when that character gets, in my opinion, what they deserve. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to say anything more specific. Like, his performance of that was like closest to the word gutting I'm ever going to use. So I'm just going to use that word. Like, absolutely owned the entire thing for me. Like, his playing off of Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes, like, that particularly stood out. But yeah, I love the humor. I love the commentary. It's right about the state of some forms of criticism, but at the same time, it's right about the criticism of why some people make art they make. Like, it's just, it's flat out one of the best movies of the year for sure.
God, like I said, this script is just so dynamic. Like, I just love it. It kind of makes me just want to watch it again. Like, I have it, and I just want to go upstairs and watch it. Like, that's what I really want to do right now. I just want to watch it again. Amanda, number 2.
Yeah, well, for majority of the year, Top Gun Maverick was my number 1, and then something else kind of dethroned it. But Top Gun Maverick, like, I don't think I've had that much fun in a theater in a very long time. I absolutely love the first Top Gun. I watch it on Top Gun Day. I was a rooster for Halloween. Yeah, I was just pleasantly surprised with how much I love Top Gun in general. I think the cast is great. I love that they brought in a woman pilot integrated her nicely. And I thought she was awesome. Monica Barbaro, I love her. Glenn Powell's a superstar, and I need to see more of him. I constantly need to see him as a pilot. Even in Devotion, I was like, we need to keep you in the air somehow. Let's like figure this out because he's just great. Tom Cruise, obviously fantastic. The action sequences, everything shot in IMAX, like absolutely phenomenal work. So much tension where I was sweating the entire third act. It's absolutely unbelievable what that movie accomplishes. Lady Gaga's song, Hold My Hand, is fantastic as well. The score is really good. But for me, the standout is Miles freaking Teller. I love him so much. I thought he knocked it out of the park. I didn't realize how much I missed him on screen until I watched Top Gun Maverick, and I loved him in it.
So good in that. Just the Great Ball of Fire scene is just money alone.
Yeah.
So good. Matt.
Mine is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I had at number one for quite a bit of the year until it got bumped down one slot toward the end. Still probably, I love the performances, but what really stood out to me, I think it's one of the most visually creative films I've ever seen. And I think that's what really stuck with me.
What's my number? My number 2 is Bardo. I spoke earlier in depth about my love for Bardo. Please watch Bardo. It's on Netflix. I love it a lot. Number 1.
I
Eric.
already know yours.
The Banshees of Inisherin. Oh my gosh.
Aw.
I made probably the most pretentious video of anything I've ever made over on YouTube. Like playing out how this movie resonated with me. Like In Bruges has been one of my favorite movies of all time, and a specifically oriented reunion with the composer, the director, and the 2 leads. Like the whole thing is set in 4 locations and could be a stage play. It was gorgeous, and it sounded gorgeous, and everybody's amazing. And the way that they actually go there with some of the more horrific elements of it surprised me. So they could just keep making movies of just those 2 actors talking, and I would keep seeing them. Like, I love Banshees.
Amanda.
It's number 1 now. Yes. I don't know why
Yeah.
I just lost track randomly. I was just like, yes, Banshees. Let's keep talking about Banshees. I watched it again last night and I was like, this is awesome. For me, as I said before, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is what kind of dethroned Top Gun Maverick for me. It's the emotional connection I have to it. I weeped. I love the characters in it. The entire voice cast is absolutely fantastic. And maybe it's the Italian in me that it was taking place in Italy as well. And it felt very comforting watching it. And Guillermo's, creature designs are always the most impressive thing about his work. And that he gets to ground the fantastical elements in humanity. And I think he did that extremely well in this version. So yeah, that's my number 1 of the year.
Mr. Fox.
My number 1 is She Said.
Nice.
I love journalism films. That started when I was young, and I saw The Paper. That was actually what inspired me to go to journalism school. And I've always loved well done journalism films. Spotlight a couple of years ago was one of my absolute favorites. So I was very excited to see this. But it's the story and the performances and the way it's pulled together that really draw you in. You guys touched on it a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Jennifer Ale, who I thought gave an incredible performance. And I know, Amanda, you mentioned Ashley Judd, but the bravery of playing yourself during what had to have been one of the most painful and vulnerable times of your life was deeply moving.
Yeah, truly. My number 1 is, oh my God, surprise, bones and all.
From deep emotion to eating people.
Exactly. Deeply emotion while you're eating the people.
Oh, Jesus.
On that note, before we go, I'll let everybody plug their stuff. And so Amanda, thank you for joining us. Where can everybody find you on the social media things?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun. You guys can find me over at AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can check out my website, candidxcinema.com, and my YouTube channel, Candid Cinema.
Eric.
at High Contrast FLM on Twitter and YouTube at High-Contrast.
And I'm at Nighthawk7734 on Twitter.
He's on Twitter. On Twitter.
And this week at the movies at themusiccitydrive-in.com. It's also Matthew. Yeah.
And every week I listen to Ricky tell me his bets that aren't going to hit.
Ouch! God!
Kablam.
That one's courtesy of Sammy Fableman.
He couldn't direct something that good. All right. With that being said, you can find me on Twitter at @RickyViller_, and everywhere all at once. Thank you everybody for joining us this week, and we're gonna do this again soon in the near future. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining.
Jesus.